Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word at my mouth, and give them warning for me. Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all honor and glory to our Heavenly Father, whose name is YAHAWAH, and His only begotten Son, whose name is YAHAWASHI. To the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom to the hopeful elect of Israel. Next, double honors to the elders, the bishops, and the apostles of the great millstone, and the one who taught me this truth according to the Bible. Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honors. Some of these men has been laboring in the truth for 40 plus years, in rain, hail, sleet, hot temperatures, or snow. I myself have came in the last days, but that was the time the Most High YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI put the Spirit on me to receive this gospel, receive this truth. These elders are worth double honors. 1 Timothy 5 verse 17. Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honors, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine, the truth. For the scriptures saith, Thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the corn, and the labor is worthy of his reward. Yes, the reward is the penny, the kingdom of heaven. This is why, speaking for myself first and foremost, this is why I do these lessons. This is my due diligence. YAHAWASHI said, if you love him, he said it to Jonas, Simon, lovest thou me? Simon Peter, feed my sheep. Feed my sheep. Okay, YAHAWASHI told him 3 times. Okay, so the laborer is worthy of his reward. Just want to thank the Most High YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI for giving me inspiration to do this lesson. To water YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. I want to make this lesson, hope this lesson is edifying to the point, and I hope by the end you get something out of it. Just want to go into a quick little video here of some of the stuff that's going on today that we should be aware of. Bring the first one. Okay, just got a quick video to play. Fair use, fair use, fair use. I do not own this video. I do not own the rights to this video. This video is just for education and edification purposes only. I'm not making any money from this video. Fair use, section 107 of the Copyright Act. So I'll just play a video here. It came out in 2021, but it's very relevant to this day and will continue onward. Just play a portion of it. Take a listen.
We're in an age of wonders, of awesome scientific revolution. The reality is that any day now we'll be eating super salmon, the first genetically modified creatures approved for human consumption. And of course, modified plants like soybeans are already on the menu. But the revolution doesn't end there. Scientists can now re-engineer our lives in ways you never thought possible. Most controversially of all, they have the power to create designer animals with organs specifically for human transplants. So prepare to be amazed and maybe just a little bit afraid. On the edge of Newfoundland, in the spectacular wilds of the North Atlantic, I'm about to wrestle with one of the great scientific controversies of our time.
Oh, she's a fighter.
That's going to be good, but we're going to catch it too.
Oh, nearly. Oh, they got a bit of muscle. Got him. So that's your pride and joy.
Absolutely. Great fish, isn't it?
How does it feel? Oh!
Well, it was a good fish.
They got plenty of growth hormone and muscle hormone as well.
That's the fish that got away, right? The story you'll tell at home.
Exactly.
These are a new breed of superfish, genetically modified salmon, and they're about to make history. They're set to become the first genetically modified animals approved for human consumption anywhere in the world. And that makes their creator, Dr. Garth Fletcher, a very proud man.
How does it feel to create a superfish?
Well, it's just very nice. I'm glad you think of it as a superfish. It's just a regular salmon, except it grows faster.
A lot faster, up to 10 times faster than normal salmon, thanks to growth genes from other fish species spliced into their DNA.
Oh, is it?
Now, the key to all of this are the big fish and the little fish are the same age.
They're exactly the same age. Fertilized at the same time and cultured under the same conditions.
All these fish are just 6 months old. The bigger ones carry Dr. Fletcher's controversial genetic modification. The smaller ones don't.
Commercially, I can see why you want to do this.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And then we take the eggs and sperm from...
But while the fish farmers are hailing this genetic tinkering as a miracle that will feed the masses, environmentalists have labelled these salmon Frankenfish.
Never mind calling me names or the fish names. The thing is it safe to eat? That's the question, not the label of it.
And is it safe to eat?
I think it is. I know it is.
I was going to pick you up on that. Do you think or do you know?
I know it is.
Sometimes you just got to say no to certain technologies. Just because it can be done doesn't mean that it should be done. And with these salmon, I'm telling you, it shouldn't be done, and they should never be released into our oceans and into our rivers.
Washington lawyer and scientist Andrew Kimbrell is one of America's most outspoken campaigners against genetic engineering.
These genetically engineered crops and fish can cause new allergies. They can lower the nutrition in the food. They can cause toxicological responses. Food that was formerly safe can now become toxic. We've never done any long-term testing on these foods, and yet we've let them into our supermarkets, and we're feeding millions of people this food.
Just as alarming, says Andrew Kimbrell, is the threat to native species. In North America, there are fears the new super salmon could escape from fish farms and wipe out the already threatened wild salmon.
If one of these genetically engineered organisms is released into the environment, you can't recall it. It's not coming back. It will grow and disseminate, and if it's going to be damaging, it will be catastrophic. They come in, and they contaminate, and they destroy.
How does that sit with you?
It's highly imaginative.
You dismiss it?
Well, I mean, it's a highly unlikely scenario that he's speaking of.
Highly unlikely?
Well, I feel it's highly unlikely, and what we plan to do is produce animals which are sterile, so when they're grown in the environment, at least they can't mate with the wild salmon.
Can you guarantee 100% that all the genetically modified fish that you produce will be sterile?
Well, I don't think anybody can guarantee anything 100% in this world.
What I can guarantee is that much of the processed food we're now eating in Australia contains genetically modified ingredients imported from overseas, but soon we'll be growing our own. This is a test crop of engineered canola in YAHAWAH, New South Wales. Now, it's claimed this canola will improve weed control, produce bumper crops, and generally make our lives a whole lot better. But the company that actually created it, Bayer, won't talk about it.
Let's talk about what the crops are really doing. I am so tired of hearing that these crops are going to save the world. When it all comes down to it, again, we've got one genetically engineered crop that lets us put more herbicides in the environment. That's the bottom line.
Family, I'll pause it there. It was a lot to take in and digest, but ultimately, the only person who's making any legal argument or any sense here is the actual lawyer, because he's 100% correct. Doctor on the other end, he's just, I think, he's not certain. He's laughing, he's smirking, because what? He's making lots of filthy lucre, right? Lots of money. He's making a lot of money for his invention. The Lord created all of us perfect in his own way, including the animals, the trees, the nature, the bees, the birds, flowers, fish. But these devils will always find a way to GMO these things, always try to find a way to change these things. See, part of the reason is this as well, it's control. It's all about control and controlling the food, right? But also for money's sake, right? So, but this here is for Israel, right? This is for the Israelites. This lesson, this is all about Israel, okay? So you have to understand, didn't the Lord told us that in the Deuteronomy, didn't the Lord tell us that we'll rely on all these nations for all wants and needs? This is what the Lord is telling us right now. This is how we're going to eat our food from all these nations. So now the Lord created herbs. He created all the health healing products in this world for us, for our sake. But these men, they take it upon themselves and take it into the lab. And only the Lord knows what we're eating. So let's go now to the book of, because I said that We'll be in the want and need from all these nations. Let's go to the book from here. Open up a new tab. 1 second. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 28. Let's go with verse 40. Start at 47. Deuteronomy 28, verse 47. Change it here. Deuteronomy 28, verse 47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy power with joyfulness and with gladfulness of heart for the abundance of all things, right? The Lord created all these things for us from give us all the dietary laws, what to eat, what not to eat, the herbs for our healing and everything. And this man changed the ordinance all around to suit his own narrative. Wickedness. This is the point. Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger. See? That's why we have to rely on these nations for our food. Israelites don't have any real resources in this world. No. There's a few of us that appear to be prospering on the side, but they're the rich people. They have their consolation because they sold out. They sold their souls, right? Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. Okay, that's the sign to tell you who the Israelites are. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee, right? So all these nations, this is why we're eating all these things, because we don't have our own, right? And this is what is happening right now. All the food is polluted. All the stuff in out there that we're eating, we don't even know what we're eating because it's so bad. Let's go to another a video here to show you. 1 second, just another one here. This is GMOs from a large corporation. You'll hear it. Play it now.
This watermelon from Walmart. Can someone please tell me what's wrong with this watermelon?
Stop buying fake produce from Walmart.
Folks, that is a watermelon from Walmart, right? Look at that. Watermelons, we know, first of all, it doesn't look like that. That looks fake. Looks like a piece of meat. There's no seeds in that. That is lab produced, okay? So this is what the Lord says. Because we will be in want and need from all nations, we have to eat the foods that are defiled, right? So it says in the book of Ezekiel 4 verse 13, and the Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them, right? So because we've been scattered into all these nations, this is what the Lord is saying to us. This is all part of the curses. Even the Lord said, and the Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them. So yes, it doesn't matter where we go, we will be in want and need from all these nations because we are under the curses. That's a very tough concept for people of the world to understand. I've spoken to so many Jakes about this stuff, and they're so in unbelief. They can't believe it. No, they reject the word, right? But this is it. It's because we are under the curses of Deuteronomy, right? So now look at another article here came up in the news a few days ago, just showing you all part of the wickedness, slightly unrelated, but I'll bring it up. Take a look at this one here. It says, man gets pig heart in world's first transplant, BBC News. Okay, I'll play it really quickly for you here. Start over.
Has become the first person in the world to get a heart transplant from a genetically modified pig. Doctors in Maryland were granted a special
Fair use, fair use. I do not own this video. I'm not making any money from this video. Section 107 of the Copyright Act. Fair use, fair use. This is for education and edification purposes only. Salaki.
US man's become the first person in the world to get a heart transplant from a genetically modified pig. Doctors in Maryland were granted a special dispensation by the US medical regulator to carry out the procedure because the patient was too ill to receive a human donor organ. Well, it's hoped the surgery may be a game changer in solving the organ shortage crisis. Tanya Dendrinos reports a warning that some of the images are graphic.
Precious cargo being wheeled into the operating theatre. But this was no ordinary transplant. This donor heart belongs to a genetically modified pig.
He had had previous heart surgery, so it took a while to prepare the operative site such that we could remove his heart and replace it with that of the animals.
The recipient is 57-year-old David Bennett. Ineligible for a human transplant, this 7-hour first-of-its-kind procedure was considered the last chance of saving his life.
He was pretty well convinced by multiple doctors who had told him he had a fatal disease and he was unlikely to leave the hospital because of it. With that as a background, as an alternative, he said to me two very important things. He said, I don't want to die. And he said, if I do, maybe you'll learn something to help others.
David is now in recovery with no immediate signs of rejection. And while there's no assurance of his long-term chances of survival, this surgery comes after years of research with the overriding ambition to save lives.
It's a game changer because, now we will have these organs readily available. If this works, we have the technique of genetically modifying. So if there are more tweaking required for modifying the genes, we will be able to do that, and can customize basically the heart or the organ for the patient.
A glimmer of hope for transplant patients around the world, with people dying each day on the waiting list. Tanya Dendrinos, BBC News.
Family, that is disgusting. Listen, that is disgusting. This man is playing with. I'm lost for words right now. This man is he's playing the Most High right now, That's in Thessalonians, but man, it's just, for me personally, I would choose to be in the spirit world. I'm not over having a pig's heart. That's disgusting. A pig is a scavenger, okay? A pig would eat anything. The Lord told us clearly, not to eat swine's flesh, or we're not even supposed to be even touching the animal, let alone, right? Let's go to Leviticus 11. Let's start at verse 7. Leviticus 11, verse 7. It says, and the swine, though he divided his hoof, and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean to you. That's what the Lord is telling us. He is unclean to us. Of their flesh ye shall not eat. Okay? When people tell you the laws is done away with, no, that's not correct. Of their flesh ye shall not eat, and their carcass ye shall not touch. They are unclean to you. The Lord is telling us clearly through his servant Moses, clearly that we're not supposed to be even near this animal, right? So at this stage, that is just going off right now at this point. That's just going off, right? So it's got to give you a disclaimer here. So this information is disclaimer here. This information is educational and for edification purposes only. It does not constitute as providing medical advice or professional services. Those seeking professional medical information should consult with a licensed physician. Okay, so this is just for education and edification purposes. Whatever you get out of this, it's on you to. If you have some ailment you're dealing with, seek medical advice from a licensed profession. Okay, so I always say this is that these things here in the States, there's an agency called the Food and Drug Administration. I always have an issue with that in itself because food and drugs should not be in the same content. But let me just bring up this article here for a second. Where is 1 second? Bear with me for 1 second. Oh no, sorry, I have it on my phone actually, Salaki. Bear with me for 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, there's an article here I gotta bring out. Okay, yes, this article is from the Cornopia Institute. Genetically modified foods pose huge health risks. This article was written back in 2009, Los Angeles. This week, the American Academy of Environmental Medicine called the physicians to educate their patients, the medical community, and the public to avoid GMO foods when possible, and provide education materials concerning GMO foods and the health risks. They call for a moratorium on GMO foods, long independent studies, and labeling. Their position paper stated several animal studies indicate that serious health risks associated with GMO foods, including infertility, immune problems, accelerated aging, insulin regulation, and changes in the major organs of the gastrointestinal system. They conclude that there is much more than a casual association between GMO foods and adverse health effects. There is causation as defined by recognized scientific criteria. The strength of association and consistency between the GMO foods and disease is confirmed in several animal studies. I would just leave it there. That's a lot to go on, but I just say the point. There's a link to that. This stuff here is detrimental to your health, not let alone the long-term risk. Okay, a lot of these GMO foods, where do you see it mostly? In the Jake communities, in poor neighborhoods, where you go all these places that you can 24 hours you can get like fried chicken and this kind of meat and whatever type of sausage and hot dogs 24 hours a day. It's all garbage. Right now you just see the article with the salmon as well. So this food here it's actually killing us. There's no way around it. It's actually harmful for our health, right? So I always have an issue with the Food and Drug Administration, because the same company that regulates the food, it's the same company that, one second. Okay, yes, the same company that regulates the food is the same company that regulates the drugs, right? So let's go to this article here in Food and Drug Administration just to give you. The Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, is a federal government agency and is responsible for protecting the public's health by assuring the safety, and security of human veterinary drugs, biological products, medical devices, on nation's food supply, cosmetics, and products that emit radiation. It is part of the Department of Health and Human Services. The FDA also alerts the public when a product is not safe. So you see, the same company that regulates the food and have all the put ban to certain drugs or give the approval or disapproval, is the same one, because the food, what we eat, the unhealthy foods, is what is making us sick. Then we rely on medication, back to the food, back to the medication. So it's a vicious cycle, doesn't stop, right? You go into the grocery stores, you can't find seeds and fruits anymore, can't find all the seeds, because that's where all the good stuff is. And a lot of the vegetables and fruits, the seeds is what really get rid of parasites and certain cancers and so forth, right? So these they're taking these things out for various reasons. Number one, because they don't want you to be able to grow for yourself. You always be in need and in want for all things. And on top of that, it's a health benefits, right? So they're spraying with all types of pesticides and all kind of stuff. And that's why you understand the obesity rate in North America is so high, So, it's just the cycle continues. Let's see the just a cycle here. I did it earlier. The percentage of obesity in the States, in America. Listen to that, in adults. Percentage of obese adults in America, 41.9%. That's almost half the population. Everywhere you turn, there's junk food. There's Burger King, White Castle, Kentucky, McDonald's. All the big name corporations are there that just launching products. Every time you go by a billboard, you see a sandwich, you see fries, you see all these things, but it's all unhealthy stuff. It's not the good stuff. They promote it with a lot of like the fancy coloring and food colors and dyes and well manicured looking. They're basically food models, because when you buy the food, it doesn't even look half like the way it looks in the photo. Not even the size, the color, everything is different, right? So this is what's happening right now. You got 41.9% of the people are obese, all because of Esau, basically, all because of Esau and going back to his birthright. Actually, you know what? Let's bring that up. Let's go to the book of, because I mentioned it. These people like things very fast and convenient. Everything must be fast. All the fast food, right? Goes back to Esau. Let's go. 20. Let's go to verse Genesis 25, let's go verse 29. Let's start at 29, I believe. Yes, let's go. This is Jacob and Esau. And Jacob sawed pottage. Pottage is an old thing for stew. It's an old term, means stew. And Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field. See, Esau was a skilled hunter, right? His blessing was a sword, and he was faint. He came from the field. He was hungry. He was tired. He's hungry. And Esau said to Jacob, "Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage." See, it wasn't cooked, okay? It was not cooked. It was red lentil soup pottage, but with meat, it was not cooked yet. He says, "For I am faint." So he's telling him, "I'm hungry. Feed me with some food. I know it's not cooked, but feed me." He says, therefore, his name was changed to his name was called Edom. Okay, so Esau's name was changed to Edom. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Okay, progenitor of Israelites. And Jacob said, "Sell me this day thy birthright." Remember Esau's birthright, because he was the firstborn. And Jacob said, "Sell me." And he said, "Sell me this day thy birthright." And Esau said, "Behold," this is the point, "I am at the point to die." He's very faint. "And what profit shall this birthright do to me?" Okay, Jacob know the blessing. So he says, and Jacob said, "Swear to me this day." And he swore unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils. And he did eat and drink, and rose up and went on his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. So Esau is the progenitor. His name was changed to Edom. He's a progenitor of the Edomites. To this day, you see most Edomites, when they go into stores, they're impatient. They can't wait. They don't like to be told no. Everything is rush, fast. We know our patience. We know our place. So we're always in that calm state, of patience, pack on our patience, right? This is why, because of the birthright. So you see, at the end of the day, family, this is all about controlling the food. All about the food. You see how even Jacob was able to tell his brother, "Swear me this day, sell me thy birthright," because it was the food. He was desperate. Same thing's going on today. It's all about the food. He controls the food, controls everything. Just got to show you a quick little, a little thing from Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger was a former head of state in America, and this is something he said about the food. And this is very profound even today. Okay, let's find it. Henry Kissinger. This is what he says. Henry Kissinger. The phrase "who controls the food supply controls the people." Isn't that what I've been saying all this time? Who controls the food supply controls the people is attributed to Henry Kissinger. The quote suggests that the control and management of the global food supplies have been a corporate and political priority for decades. You understand? This is how to get people in compliance, with U.S.-based conglomerates leading this charge. The quote is often used to highlight the power dynamics of food production and distribution, and the potential for those who control the food supply to exert significant influence over the populations. All about control. I say it from day one to day on. So now watch this here. This is just a video here. Oh, I don't know if it's still there anymore. Okay, I lost it. It's okay. No worries. It was about the GMO salmon as well, so don't worry about it. It's okay. Yeah. So you know what? The Lord is the Lord has to cut the time short, because if He doesn't, no flesh will be saved. So the Lord is cutting the time short just for His elect, because the elect is His remnant, right? The remnant comes from the word remaining, right? The Lord always preserve His elect. Let's go to the scripture of Matthew 24 verse 22. "And except those days shall be shortened, they shall no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened." Right. So the Lord is cutting short these days, because you're seeing all the stuff on the left-hand side there, all the splicing of the animals and GMO modifying the foods. Nothing is safe to eat anymore. So before you eat some food, you better pray. You thank the Lord for the food. You got to pray the Lord bless that food and make that safe for your consumption, because without that blessing, a lot of us can be deleted, right? So this is why the Lord is doing it. This is why He's shortening the time, right? So a lot of people are going to be deleted. A lot of people will be deleted very soon. That says the slain of the Lord shall be many, right? And the Lord is not a respecter of persons. Doesn't matter whether young, whether old, doesn't really matter. The Lord is no respecter of persons. So Romans 2 verse 11, for there is no respect of persons with Yahweh. That's what I just said. It doesn't matter whether you're young, doesn't matter whether you're old. It don't matter. The Lord is he's gonna delete a lot of people from this world, right? So let's go now to the just to show you as well, Deuteronomy 28 verse 50. All the Lord is in control of everything, and a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show the favor of the young. So, a favor to the young. So this is what all this food here. You think these people honestly care about who's eating the food? No, because they have their own top tier food hidden away somewhere in their bunkers and whatnot. But it's the poor man. It's always a need. So it says, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. That's why I said the Lord is no respecter of person, right? Even to prove that point even further, let's go to Ezekiel 9 verse 5. Let's start at verse 5. And to the others he said in my hearing, go ye after through the city, and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. So the Lord is sending, these are his angels to carry out his work, right? It says, now verse 6, here's the point. This is, slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children. You hear what I said? Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children. And women, but come not near any man whom is the mark. So the mark that they were speaking to is the mark for exemption from judgment. It's called in the Greek the thoah. Yes, sorry, in the Greek. So that's the mark, right? And begin at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men, which were before the house. So it didn't matter. The old, the young, everyone was slayed. That didn't have that mark of exemption. This is today as well. Why we are living right with the Most High, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. This is why I keep saying, repent to the Lord, power of Israel. That is the only hedge of protection that we will have. So yeah. So that's why I said the slain of the Lord shall be many, and he's not sparing anyone, because he is no respecter of persons, whether young, whether old, right? The Lord is not looking at that. But anyhow, I'm going to close this off here. I think you got the point. Until the next one, I say shalom. Shalom, Israel.